Everybody, welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Serge.
And my name is James.
That's the last time I have to say that for about 30 days, probably a little longer.
Yes, a little longer.
We are on recording the last podcast of Season 5 before a short break. And today is a Q&A. Put the tweet out. Give us your questions.
Can't wait to hear of all these amazing questions that the Twitter community have sent back to us, which Sid has already completely fucking poo-pooed.
James came into work this morning. I said, I'm not overly, energized by the quality of questions that we've had in on the Q&A. I think it's 50-50 in terms of, there's a few good ones in there, James. There's a few repetitive ones and a few that you'll just be like, what?
Sid has already told me that someone has asked how we met.
We'll save that one for the end. So if you're a new listener that never heard the story, you have to wait till the end to get that one answered. But I've got a few good ones. I want to start with some really
No one
good
ever
ones.
asked me how I met my wife. Actually, no, don't ask that for future.
How you met your mother. We can do a Planet FPL edition. That could be like a 20-part Disney series.
How I met my
How
mother.
you met your mother. Planet FPL
Same
version.
way as most people, I'm guessing.
You ready for this?
Go on,
Q&A.
this is just
Listeners.
out and out Q&A.
Yeah,
Whatever
we're gonna
happens,
go for it.
happens.
I'm starting with the best first.
Go on in.
Akil Rambaran.
Okay.
Who do you guys support in the Premier League? Like favourite teams.
What the fuck?
I've set the bar high, James, to start with. Akil, I'm not really laughing because I'm moan, but you might
Just
be a
do
new
it.
listener that's never heard the
Exactly.
content.
That's right.
I support West Ham
I support Tottenham Hotspur.
in the Premier League, indeed. FPL Binary, we're going to go off-piste a little bit differently. 5 Live, BBC Radio 5 Live, do a show, Fighting Talk, on a Saturday morning. I used to listen to it religiously. I haven't for a couple of years. But when the last 2 people get into the final from 5 or 6 pundits, it's defend the indefensible, right? You make it, someone will give you a statement that's indefensible, but you've got to spend 30 seconds defending it,
cool, yeah.
and whoever does a better job wins.
Fair enough.
30 seconds each. He's asked for 60 seconds, but we ain't got all day. So you've got 30 seconds to defend the indefensible.
Oh, okay, this sounds quite
I've
exciting.
got 30
I like
seconds to defend the indefensible.
But hang on, you've had time to think about this.
Tough.
So what's the question?
Right, you want me to go first?
Actually going to put a timer on this?
Yeah. You got 30 seconds, and then it's going to go ding, ding,
You
ding.
go
James,
first.
defend the indefensible.
Go on then.
West Ham are the best team in London because... Go.
Because they nicked their shirts off of Burnley Football Club back in the 1900s, or was it Aston Villa? I can't remember, but you're the third wheel of the Claret and Blue hedge fund, the fourth being obviously Scunthorpe United. You have the biggest stadium in London, paid for by London's taxpayers. Therefore, your ground is the cheapest for you as a football club. That makes you absolutely massive. You have Declan Rice, who's often seen pale on a sunbed, screaming when people frighten him on Instagram and various other videos.
That's your...
Was that 30 seconds already?
is done, James. So we are...
You're going to do the same for Spurs?
Your defence was that West Ham are the best team in London because we have the same kit as Burnley, Scunthorpe and Aston Villa.
But not really Scunthorpe.
Right. Defend the indefensible, Serge. Guess what it is? Spurs are the best team in London because... and yes, you're right. I had a chance to read the question before, so I have an unfair advantage. But football as a sport
already wasted 10
is
seconds.
about giving joy to fans. And Spurs are a club that not only give joy to their own fans, they give joy to all other fans in and around London, particularly Arsenal and Chelsea fans. I don't think there's another club in London that gives as much joy to fans of other clubs as Spurs do. And that's why they are the best team in London.
That's it. That's all you've got.
Yeah, man.
You actually had time to think about that as well.
So...
We give Arsenal fans so much joy.
Yeah. Well, over the years, I reckon, yeah. I think...
I don't think Arsenal fans...
What's your head-to-head against Arsenal-Chelsea? It's definitely better than us. As in, you've beat us more than we beat you. But Arsenal-Chelsea?
Oh, they must have both beaten us more, in fairness.
There you go. It's a joy to 3 London clubs, your own and 2 others.
Chelsea have only been in existence since 2003. Although they had an incredible record against us in the 90s that I should point
now
out.
this timer won't fucking stop going off. Come on, stop. There we go. Better. 30 seconds.
You are definitely the guy that snoozes his alarm, aren't you?
Do you know?
How many snoozes do you have on your alarm?
Story for another day.
How many snoozes do you have on your alarm? I reckon you have
3,
none.
4?
Oh, really?
No,
Do you?
But there's anyone who owns a Samsung might know this problem. I've got my alarm goes off on my watch, and there's an X, and then there's an alarm button.
Press the wrong
one's to snooze, and one's to switch it off. They both do the same thing, snooze. Like I've been trying to figure out which one switches the alarm off, and they both. I feel like I've tried both, and they both still snooze for 5 minutes.
The trick
so
is,
annoying.
so what I do is I have 3 different alarms.
Okay.
So let's say if I want to get up at 7:15, so I have an alarm at 7, I have an alarm at 7:10, I have an alarm at 7:15.
Sham, FPL, 2 Guys 1 Cup says, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Okay, I like that.
So the only way a
500.
chicken would be able to kill an elephant, the first thing they need to do is to get the elephant grounded.
Yeah.
The way they get the elephant grounded is obviously pecking at his feet. But in the meantime, the elephant's going to be stomping around. So a shitload of chickens are going to get squashed to shit. So
True.
I think you're going to get through at least 150 chickens pecking at feet to get it to ground. At the point that the elephant's bleeding dry from its feet, from being pecked so much, yeah, you get through 150, 200 chickens, then it's going to take a ton more. I think 500 is a fair assumption.
That was a long way of you giving the same answer as me.
400 is the bare minimum, I think. An elephant could destroy 400 chickens before it died. So
500. Unanimous.
500. Fantasy football nerd. Do you believe there is intelligent life somewhere else in the universe? And if so, how do you think us as a human race will react to it?
I love the way the question is, do you think there's intelligent life somewhere else? Yeah, because there ain't none on our fucking planet.
100% there is intelligent life somewhere else in the universe.
I agree, yeah.
We will react badly.
We will fuck it up when we meet it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
We don't respond well to people close to us, people from the same country, North v South, for example. We react badly to Northerners. How are we going to? And then we react badly to Scotland, and then we react badly to Europe, and then we react to other countries.
They all react badly to us.
We're not good at different.
What I've started to think though is because you get these things now where they're like, they've found that the Earth's going to blow up in 3 billion years or whatever because they've got this telescope that can see for 20,000 light years. If they've got a telescope that can see that far, surely they can find some life somewhere. No? That's what I'm starting to think. Like, do you believe in Roswell and all that stuff?
How big? No, I don't believe in Roswell.
No.
But I believe that how big is the universe is the $1 million question.
Well, I guess it never ends.
Yeah.
There's got to be an end somewhere, right? Is there? Or?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Some people still think the world is flat. And if you look at a flat map, if you go too far west or too far east, you will fall off. Don't try it.
FPL newcomer to FPL says, how many hours does Planet FPL take up for you each week, and is it your full-time job? We have completely different answers.
What's yours?
About 8 to 10, I'd say, and
I think you're underestimating that.
a week.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay, more. But no, it's not my full-time job.
It is
I'm
mine.
going back to my full-time job next week when we have no content to produce, or even tomorrow.
I'm taking holiday.
And James, you go.
Yeah, all day, every day. Basically, not far off. A lot better now. I've got our man Nico on board with the video editing. So, yeah, to be honest, at the end of season point, it's more like sort of 35, 40-hour week. I'd say go back to like Christmas period and stuff.
When it's hectic.
It's just 12-hour days every day.
Peter Ouch, I suppose he's playing on Peter Crouch, says, James, this is for you. Is Sudge your working boss? I don't know why working is like the emphasis.
As opposed to what?
I don't work.
He's my working boss and my social boss.
No non-working boss. I'm a boss that doesn't work. Yeah, that is his question.
Yeah,
I own the company that pays, that sends them end of month pay.
You signed the check, so yes.
If only checks still existed. Checks and cash.
Do people still use checks?
So, Yes, they like to and try to, and I don't even know why, because what used to be good with checks is you can post someone a check and then it takes 3 or 4 days to clear, and then you sit on the money for a few days longer. We don't take we take checks only because local authorities and places like that still like to pay by check because they're all so old school. So if we sell packaging to like a hospital or a school or whatever, they still have checks. But other than that, we just tell people no checks anymore. Like, forget about it. If you can't pay by backs, then we don't want to do business with you because it's an effort, man.
Yeah.
Going to the bank and paying in checks. Even banks hate it nowadays. The only thing that's good nowadays actually is you used to have to take the checks to the bank. If they're less than £750, you just take a photograph on an app now, and you don't need to actually go to the bank. But that only came in the last 6-7 months. You'd think like for years we've had smartphones with cameras that we'd be able to do that. People still pay by check, mate. Can you imagine getting your wages at the end of the week or end of the month?
Having to wait another 5 days.
Having to go to the bank to pay them in. That's how we used to operate. Sometimes you think, fuck, we used to really live like cavemen, didn't we?
We might look at this period though and think we lived at like cavemen.
Dan, the FPL fan, James, if you had another child and it was a boy...
That's not happening.
Would you call them Sonny? Could you imagine if you had a Harry and Son?
We did joke because, as everybody knows... Our one and only child was conceived on the same day that Spurs beat Arsenal 1-0 at Wembley, and Harry Kane scored, and obviously he's called Harry, which my wife vehemently denies, but I vehemently agree to. And there was a joke doing the rounds that when we went to Arsenal and won 2-0 in the League Cup quarter-final, we'd have a girl and we'd call it Allison, because Ali and Son scored.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought Allison, you were going to refer to sometime you beat Liverpool or something.
No, Allison.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't call it Sonny. Call him Hyun-Min.
Hyun-Min. Did we ever figure out which was his first name and surname?
It's
Son
Hyun-Min, yeah.
Yeah, it's a son. So you can call him by his surname.
Yeah.
Do you know what? If you have another son, call him Kane.
Just call him Kane.
Harry and Kane. That'd be...
I'll have a third one, call it The Undertaker.
If you had a second son and called him Kane, I do think I would stop being friends with you.
You'd stop paying my checks.
I think I'd stop being friends with you. I mean, I'd be like... And then what would happen is 5 years from now, I'd be like, I used to have this mate, you'll never guess what he did. He was such a Spurs fan. He called his eldest son Harry and his second son Kane. Yeah, you'd be like one of those stories that you tell in the pub about.
Why did you call your son Harry? And the answer is, ask me in a couple of years and I'll tell you. This is very dependent.
Danny UK says, what's your prediction for top 4 and relegation next season? Top 4. So City, Liverpool, Spurs. I'm actually putting Spurs in there. I think you're trying to do bits. And with Conte, I think you can. And Chelsea.
I was asked last week and I said, someone asked me top 6. And look, it's very difficult to say at the moment. I'm sure it will be wrong. But I said same top 6 in the same order that it's finished this year at the moment, with Newcastle quite possibly jumping yourselves for 7th. But yeah, I mean, the signing of Perisic is... I feel like going and listening back to every Euros pod we did last summer. It was an in-running joke how much I was raving about him. Like, even when Croatia weren't playing, I'd name drop him and stuff. Absolutely loved the fella. Obviously pushing on in age a little bit, but...
Yeah, it sounds like a 1 or 2 year punt.
It sounds like he had an outstanding season for Inter Milan. Can I just add, and I don't really want to get into FPL too much on this pod, but I see a lot of people saying, oh, I hope FPL classify him as a defender because he's a wing back. So you don't want even Perisic classified as a defender. If you classify as a defender, everyone's fucking having him, so it ain't going to make a difference.
Depends on price.
Well, he ain't going to come in as a 7.5 million defender at Tottenham, is he?
No, it'd be cheap.
And that's the sort of price he should be if he's priced as a defender, to be honest. So, no, the game should classify him as a midfielder. He's
called a winger
level.
On like news reports. Tottenham signed winger.
He'll play wing back for us. I've even saw someone say forward, right? So, and he obviously can play as a forward. He can play in a front three. Top player.
Anyway, what's your prediction for top 4?
He's been so underrated because of Rakitic and Modric's brilliance for Croatia. Literally same order as this season.
Relegation,
currently.
I'm going to say Leeds.
It depends what Leeds do in the market, I think.
Bournemouth.
I think Southampton are at risk next year. as it stands now.
I think Everton are at risk again.
And to be honest, although I think you and I agree that probably because of the way their model works, they'll probably be all right. Brentford's second season could soon come back around.
I think Everton, they're not going to be able to spend
Forest with what they've got currently won't stay up, but I know that they'll invest. And actually, if you look at betting odds and stuff, you'll generally find that Forest are a smaller price than Fulham or Bournemouth to win the league. And it's probably because of that. Forest probably will spend a bit of money and stuff. So the three promoted clubs are obviously going to be at risk. I feel like Fulham are rightly the strongest of those three currently, but it depends a lot on the market. I think Southampton are a danger next year. Everton will be down there again.
They're not going to be able to spend big enough.
It's looking like Richarlison is definitely going to go. And we've known they're going to have to sell.
Strengthen.
Richarlison, I've actually heard mentioned with Spurs last couple of days.
Tim Locke, if you could undo any football moment, what would it be?
As in what, change it?
I guess he says undo it. I mean, you just have to say something like Hillsborough, surely, where people die.
Yeah, I can't.
And just pick anyone
I can't
what's
really
the most
that.
deaths at a football event? Undo that one.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. You're not wrong. I feel like the question is laced for on pitch though. I feel like so many people will be listening and thinking exactly it's the Gascoigne. Can you touch it against Germany in '96 when it goes across the box? Everyone says it all the time. Like that. Like, don't hesitate. That's the change, the sliding doors moment. Don't hesitate. Get there. You could look back and say, Italy not equalising last summer. For Spurs,
it's Gerrard FA Cup final. Don't shoot.
I guess wishing we could have had the Champions League final without the penalty at the start of the game and see if it had panned out differently and stuff.
Tom Broski, what team has the worst nickname?
That's a blinding question. That's the sort of one I wish I'd read first. All I can think of is that fucking boiler at West Bromwich Albion.
There's a mascot.
No, it's not really. It's not a nickname. About like the Shrimps.
Shrimps is a crap one.
That's shit, isn't it?
Shrimps is rubbish. Karthik Raja, recently it started feeling more and more like FPL is ruining the experience of being able to watch a game of football as a pure watch. Is this just the chaotic season? How do you guys keep at it? I don't care about FPL when I'm watching football.
No. I watch games of football and I think about Tottenham. Like, if I'm watching the top team who's near us in the table, that's what I'm thinking about. So I'll be sitting there with 3 Chelsea players in my team. If we're competing against, I want Chelsea to get beat unless they're playing Arsenal, right? So there's that. So from that element, I find it easier. A lot of people don't have that same connection. So I guess like if you're watching 2 teams near the bottom, for example, it's difficult sometimes to not think about it with your FPL head on. But then again, for me, I'm thinking more about what I want to say on the podcast when I talk about it and stuff, and know that might be fantasy related or it might not be fantasy related. So I keep an open mind about it. I think if I watched football and generally I was thinking about fantasy football more than what I'm actually watching my eyes, I'd have to stop playing fantasy football. I couldn't be like that, in all honesty. If fantasy football is destroying your enjoyment of football, stop playing fantasy football. Sorry, we just lost a load of listeners.
I think it's fair. You should stop playing fantasy football. I think fantasy football doesn't affect my enjoyment of football. Football affects my enjoyment of football.
Say that again.
Football itself, football is a sport. This is probably opening a can of worms. It's a completely different conversation. But football at its purest form is a game. Two teams of 11, a sport, playing against each other. There's so many other elements to football as an industry and a business now that's fucking up the purity of the game of football. So football itself and everything that goes with it is destroying my enjoyment of football more than FPL is enjoyment of football. But that's like a can of worms.
The word I often use, I know what you're saying there, is football has lost its innocence at the top level. Completely. It's lost its innocence.
Asil, do you guys watch wrestling? And if yes, who's your favourite match and who's your favourite wrestler?
Do you know what? I do still keep an eye on it because particularly on my live streams, I get people dropping wrestling stuff all the time and stuff. Do I watch it anymore? No, but I keep an eye on what's happening. Like, I know CM Punk won the title. What's today? Tuesday. He won the title on Sunday night. I mean, I used to watch it religiously as a kid. Fucking loved that shit.
I watched it as a kid, but I wouldn't say religiously. Ultimate Warrior was always my favourite wrestler, but I can tell you a match.
Why Ultimate Warrior?
I don't know.
Is it the music?
Because I think at the
Was it
time,
the pink tassels and
at
hair?
the time, it was
I wanna look
Hulk
like him.
Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior.
What's our age difference?
I'm 41. So
I never stopped watching it till it was on Sky. I was like 92, so I was a little bit behind you, I think.
Yeah. Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior was the rivalry when I was younger as the two best, and Ultimate Warrior was the underdog. So I always just had the thing of go with the underdog rather than Hulk Hogan was the poster boy for WWE.
Is that why you chose to support Barnett?
Nah, it's because I could walk to the ground, mate, in 10 minutes back in the day.
For me, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels were my favourites.
FPL Side Net Podcast. What's your favourite cartoon to watch as a kid? I think this is a bit of a tough one because kids go through phases. You see it with your own kids, but I'm going to put down Thundercats as my favourite.
Do you know what? Right up there, Thundercats. Can't argue that. I'm going to say Ghostbusters.
Steve Smith. This is a risque one, James. Risque. What's your go-to porn search? I bet James is girl on girl. Brackets boring. I want something risque from you both.
Mine's not my wife.
What's interesting? What's available in the market these days?
For porn searches?
Girls in Spurs shirts. Is that an option?
No.
Is that an option?
No.
Okay.
Put it in now. Go on.
What, girls in Spurs shirts?
Go into secret mode.
Porn mode, as they call it. Yeah.
Porn mode, secret mode.
I've got another phone. I'm so paranoid.
Mate, I've got like 4.
Yeah, one for gambling, one for porn. It's like I don't even trust it on the same device.
If you put like West Ham fan strip or something, you'll get no search results, mate.
Harry, who's this? Says, where do you see Planet FPL and fantasy football as a whole going in 10 years' time? 10 years from now, mate, Planet FPL is like unimaginable. I think we're in an industry that will move so fast that I don't think there's any... It's a pointless exercise. There's certain things you can plan 5-10 years out as a vision. I think this particular industry is... not. And I'll tell you why, because the second part of that question is, where does fantasy football go? And I think the best model that we can look at for where we will go is America, where fantasy sports are as big a deal as real sports. I think FPL in its evolution is still way behind how crazy their draft leagues and shit are for American football. They're so serious with that. There's more people that play all of that, and obviously more people, and only Americans play those American sports than ours. And I think...
Oh, there's loads here. Join in with the American fantasy sports and stuff. Yeah, loads.
But it's monetized over there, massively monetized compared to... FPL is a free-to-play game.
And I don't see that ever changing, by the way.
No, that won't change. But I think there's a few players that have entered the space, like Fan Team and what have you, that are making it a monetary game. And I think that will explode. I think what Fan Team have done with what their products and some of the other paid games is just scratching the surface. So I think there's going to be a big explosion of paid versions of playing this fantasy sports that are going to be as big as, if not bigger than, FPL, potentially. I think there's a massive gap between where FPL is in terms of numbers and these other side games. And I think the major sports games in America, people can correct me if I'm wrong, are not run by NFL officially and all that kind of stuff. The other games are as big as, potentially. Yeah, I think I can see that. And I think there's also going to be a big opportunity for spin-off games. Everybody has a version of fantasy that they would like to see rule changes in, like scrap man of the match in Sky and get rid of bonus points and play any formation and like all of these kind of things, right? When people talk about Gaffer or Fantasy Scotland, people always, I love the way they do their chips and they've got more chips to play with and whatever else. So I think it's actually, in its core, fantasy sports is fantasy football, soccer Premier League is unevolved, completely unevolved.
But the official FPL game is never going to change much.
That won't. It's the other market.
Because
It's the aftermarket.
global.
It's the
I
secondary
agree with what you're
market.
saying in
That's
terms of
that's your bog standard vanilla product.
Talking about a monetary boom, I think that's a reference to particularly UK. The reason that FPL will always stay free and not have £100,000 cash prize or whatever it is, there are too many countries that play who it's not allowed. It's illegal.
Yeah. There will always be the core product, which is Fantasy Premier League. I don't see FPL, the Premier League's product, changing much at all, if anything.
Do you think they could ever license it where they'd have a game within the game where it was cash for licensed countries?
I think they would have it like the way Sky, you can set up a cash mini league and they manage the money. I think they could do that.
But then that's done by an official gambling company.
Probably.
Whereas, I don't know. We're getting this now where gambling's starting to pull out of football a little bit in terms of the whole lot. I know Crystal Palace they've got rid of their gambling sponsor and they've signed up with Cinch. And it's probably going to come to pass in the next couple of years to ban gambling sites on shirts. Okay. But we still see it around the advertising hoardings. We've done this before. Like you get average sort of 600 gambling promotions per Premier League game or something. Like you don't even think about it because it's going around the advertising hoardings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's where I see it going. That's where I see it going. Anyway, there we go. James, FPL PTSD. What's the worst trouble you got in school? At school, I should say.
Oh my God.
I didn't get into trouble at school.
Can I be honest with you? I was a pretty good boy.
Yeah. My detentions and stuff were like low level offence, like not doing your homework, and that was every now and then. I was never particularly bad at school, so I didn't really get into trouble.
No, I genuinely really, 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 really did avoid it. Do you know what? I can't think of anything particularly bad. Probably swearing. I used to have detentions for swearing or something like that. That's about it. I blame my father for that, taking me over Spurs.
FPL Hank. If the entire FPL community had a Royal Rumble,
James Drury
on a giant on a giant bouncy castle, 4 hours into a beer festival, who would win and why?
James Drury.
I'm not sure about James's drinking ability. Can he smash through pints?
He's a fucking giant, mate. He's 90% muscle, isn't he?
He is pretty solid. But I'm going to give it to Angus MacPhail.
Okay.
I think Angus would do all right in this because, and I'll tell you why. He's at almost every meetup that we have reliably and consistently. And even when he gets through the pints, he's still he's standing straight up, still chatting sensibly. I've never seen him.
Unlike his mate Jamie Roberts.
Yes, yes, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Are you feeling all right?
Hi, Jamie.
I've never seen Angus worse for wear. He's pretty consistent when he's pissed. He's like you. You're pretty good. Even when you're pissed, you're quite consistent in terms of output.
I had a lot of Saturday reflection of James. You went from sober to pissed real quick.
So I'm going to give it to him. I think he'd do all right,
4 hours on a bouncy castle?
No. 4 hours into a beer festival, then we have the Royal Rumble on the bouncy castle.
Oh, I see. I was thinking you've got to be on a bouncy castle for 4 hours. James Drury.
David H. Bubbles in your bath?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. It's acceptable.
Yes.
You want to smell nice.
Although I'm like 99% showers, I would say.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'll have a bath like
3-4
like literally once every 2 months or something.
Yeah.
Like normally after aches and pains, but I haven't had one since Saturday. I'm showers. But little Harry has bubbles in his bath, obviously.
Yeah. James, this is a question from someone called Jamie. James as well. My girlfriend does not watch football. If I put her on the spot, she would probably be able to name fewer than 20 footballers. I cannot hold a conversation with her about football or my team, Manchester United, for more than 2 minutes. Do you have any advice for me?
You got two choices. One, you don't have those conversations with her. Or two, get a fucking better one.
I would say option one is the only option. Like, embrace it. Embrace it.
It might not be a bad thing.
There are plenty of people who don't have any, like, do you have other things to talk about? Because if you don't have other things to talk about, then it's either a reflection on your relationship or it's a reflection on you, in which case you might need to find more hobbies and be more than one dimension, especially if it's just Manchester United. Like,
have you got other friends and other people you talk to football about? Your missus might be there thinking, oh, he doesn't talk to me about shopping or whatever, right? I don't know.
I think it's a good opportunity to have, separation. Like, when you have a bad day at Spurs, this is a really good question.
Oh, I don't go home and talk to her about it.
Exactly. It's your, like...
But at the same time, she knows.
Harry doesn't give a shit, right? When
Not
you get
yet,
home.
no.
So, yeah, it's really interesting. And we got a question from Luke.
There's a balance, though, because
really interesting.
My missus very quickly learned things like, you get the certain things that, well, at least you scored, or, do you know, them sort of comments is like, yeah, we lost 5-1, babes, not now. Like, do you know what I mean? She knows to just, I wouldn't say stay out of my way, but she's not going to go asking questions if we've got beats. How was it? It's like, it's not happening.
Neil Seward, do you think penalties should be included in the golden boot tally?
Yeah, it's goals, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree as well.
The only thing I would argue is, could you make a case when two players finish level, that in the case of, say, Son and Salah this year, could you make the case that Son deserves it because he's not had penalties? The reality is that both count exactly the same, whether it's a 25-yarder or it's a goal from the penalty spot. A goal is a goal. So for me, yes, they count.
Chris Noski's jumped in with an interesting point. Should they do it like basketball? The player fouled or who draws the foul should take the penalty. So in the basketball, if you're fouled and it's free throws, it's the player fouled takes the free throws.
I don't think you could do that.
Like, if it's a handball, what do? The person that crossed the ball, for example?
What happens if the bloke who's been brought down has been crippled?
Yeah. Then I suppose you can take somebody else.
Well,
but then they just fake it
exactly.
and then come back on.
Yeah,
so.
if you were the left back and was rubbish at taking penalties and you got fouled, you'd play injured, wouldn't you? So your main player takes it. So that could never happen, unfortunately. Don't mind it as an idea, but it could never happen.
Owen Jones, favourite Bond theme tune?
Skyfall.
Yeah, I think that's up there, I was thinking about the more recent ones. Skyfall's decent. Live and Let Die.
I think that's an incredible film.
Live and Let Die. I think Skyfall was wicked. And the last one was good as well. The fact that he died as well. Oh, spoiler alert. Nico, cut that bit out. Spoiler alert. I shouldn't have even gone there.
He's only joking. He doesn't mean it. Do you know how upset Suj was about this?
Yeah.
But yeah, he said to me, because we were going to go and see it on the Saturday, because I remember coming out to the cinema and Watford had beat Man United 4-1. It was like, what? And Suj said to me the day before, he said, I don't want to talk about it. And I don't even want to talk to you about it afterwards either.
Yeah. I kudos to the bravery for doing it though. Right, okay, Pilot Flame, we've got a food question, finally.
No.
Half an hour into a Q&A and there's no food questions so far.
They shouldn't have fucking done it.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have, but let's see. Have they announced a new Bond yet? Nah.
Can we edit something in that's like, spoiler, skip this bit or something?
Okay. Pilot Flame, another food question. If you had to choose to eat from the same place for 1 year, but can only choose one place per meal, so one place for breakfast, one place for lunch, one place for dinner, where would you choose? McDonald's for breakfast, because I'd rather eat their breakfast food than their other shit every day for the rest of the life.
Has it not got to be the same for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
No. So one place. So Pilot Flame, for example, Tim Hortons for breakfast, Subway for lunch, and Sparrows for dinner. So I go McDonald's for breakfast because I don't want it for the other two meals by default, but I can't not have McDonald's, obviously. So it's got to be that for breakfast. Lunch, I'm going to go with him as well, Subway. And not because of the sandwiches, because they do salads. And you
the
can
cookies.
really mix up the salad.
Subway cookies, I ain't had one of them for a long time.
Like lunch for me, I want to go as vegetable based as possible. So I'm going to go
Subway cookies.
Subway. Dinner. Let's think about that.
You need to think about it.
Dinner, I need to think about.
Calf, any fucking calf.
For breakfast.
Yeah, standard. Lunch, Nando's.
I'm going to do Nando's for dinner. No, I'm not going to do Nando's for dinner. It's not varied enough menu.
And evening kebab.
Kebab. Chris Few. I was going to say, should we have our end of season meal?
Can I just say, I felt like once I said Nando's, I need to leave out chicken. That's how I felt. So maybe I need to get rid of Nando's.
I was going to suggest German doner kebab for our end of season lunch.
No, I've had this conversation with you.
You don't like it.
No, it's overrated.
But it's still good.
But they don't give you enough meat.
Add extra meat. I'll get extra meat for you. But we've got a Royal Jubilee tea pie in the sandwiches.
It's like doing that porn search, and then you press the button and it says you need to update your security settings. It's the same fucking... That's what German doner kebab's like. It's a fucking letdown, mate.
Chris Few would like a podcast from Forest Green Rovers now that they've been promoted to League One, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'll think about that.
And also...
Interesting football club.
He wants to know, like, every time we speak to someone from a different country and I put it down on the list of places we're going to go and do a live, is anyone keeping track of this list?
It's quite extensive now.
Yeah.
We did a patron phone-in Zoom call last week where we invited patrons to come in. We recorded it as pod. And with the first 5 callers we had were from different continents. We covered them all, wasn't it? It was North America, Australasia,
Hong
Asia.
Kong, Africa. We had Chris from Nairobi.
And Stian was in Norway.
Yeah, man.
And it wasn't even England either, so yeah.
Amazing.
And we have got someone who's from Argentina, I found out. But we don't think we've got any patrons that actually live in South America. So, if you're listening and you're in South America and you would like to join our Patreon, let me know, DM me, and I promise you I'll give you June free.
Suzanne.
And Nico chose to laugh, thankfully, because Suj didn't, because our Patreon's free for everybody in June. And you should all join, because there's no content in June anyway.
No, but they still get access to Slack, and all the other patrons will still be communicating within Slack, I'm sure.
That's true. And I'll be there.
The best part of our Patreon, I think most people will say, is the community of people that we have in Slack. They don't care about our content, mate. The additional content that we put out, or the prize leagues.
I think they do.
It's the people within the community. So go and sign up at basic tier and go and chat stuff with these guys. Suzanne, 3 words or phrases that you would use to sum up yourself, and then the same, but the ones that your wives would use. This one's very difficult.
Oh, that's on the spot.
I'm going to say thoughtful.
Calm for me, I think.
Your wife would use it, or you'd use it?
I think both. I'm calm. Nothing like what I was 10 years ago.
This one's too difficult, Suzanne. I don't like talking about myself in that way, like 3 words to use. My wife, just pick any swear words you'd like from a selection online. Google just good swear words and just chuck
anything that begins with C or F, basically. I would. What would you use for me? Let's do it that way then.
What?
What would you do for me, and what would I do for you?
Oh, ugh. It's too taxing a question.
Why?
It's not the type of question that I would like to answer on the spot. It's the type of question I'd like to think about and make sure I'm giving a good answer.
Right, come back to the season 6 premiere on Monday, July the 4th, and Suj will answer your question.
So will you.
So will I.
Suzanne, join Patreon and put it in the Patreon Q&A that we release every week. It's one of them where I don't like giving an off-the-cuff answer is never going to be the right answer. Joe, I'm a Batman. Favourite memories this season away from football matches? Well, I managed to spend a week in the Maldives, mate, so it's kind of pretty...
Am I allowed to talk about pub experiences where I wasn't at football? Does that count?
Pub experiences where you weren't at football, but watching football?
Yeah.
Oh, then that doesn't count. Away from football.
Anything with my son, to be honest. Sorry.
No, it's a good answer. Ron Mukherjee, who is the best player on the pitch in game week 39?
Andrea Pirlo.
One from North and one from South. The best player, I mean, Nacho takes the headlines for the 2 goals, but
yeah,
for pure
he
ability...
He has to get it.
I mean, Ross, I think, is the best player on the pitch.
Which Ross?
For us, Raptor.
Have
Nacho had the best game.
Have you heard the commentary from Teach Mode when? And I've seen it. Gianni wipes it. He is a foul. He did wipe him out.
I haven't heard the commentary, no. I haven't listened back to it. Watch it back.
Wait till it's honestly is one of the best lines I've heard in football commentary ever.
That's a good plug for
staggeringly good.
8 p.m. tonight, youtube.com/Planet FPL. You can watch the whole game. A number of people that ask questions about Game Week 39, the answer is like, go on YouTube tonight, watch the game, because the whole game, 90 minutes, is going to be there for you to watch rather than, hearsay. Watch it. And then click on justgiving.com/Game Week 39 North v South, which might be the wrong link.
I take it you've seen the obscene videos, Skill. You see how many people watch that?
Yeah, quite a few.
I told you that
would go off. They haven't all donated. So what are they doing?
It's true.
I don't know. What's the minimum you can donate on Just Giving?
Like 60,000 people have watched that clip.
And they haven't donated.
I don't think 60,000 people have donated to Street Child United. So do that tonight.
How many times have you watched it? 30,000.
Who was the best player?
The best... Nacho obviously scored 2 goals, but I think Ross is the best player. I don't know about South, I'd probably say Benny, but I think
We were the South, you idiot.
Sorry, North. But I don't think I watched them with enough, like, who's the best player. They had a few good players.
Yeah, listen, they were very good.
Keeper was decent for them.
I thought Korf was
FPL
great.
Keeper.
I couldn't get near Korf in midfield. I thought he was great. Handsome fucker as well. That's why I didn't want to get near him.
Ron, that was one we've answered. Dan, the FPL fan, which inanimate object do you think would be the dumbest if it had life?
Do you think I know what that word you just said was?
Like an object like a table or a mug or a spoon or a fork. What would be dumb?
What would be dumb? A mug. A mug is a mug, isn't it? No?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good shout.
Mugs would be pretty dumb. I was thinking about table, but tables have got legs, so they'd be able to walk around.
Does like things like an umbrella, does that count?
Umbrella's pretty intelligent.
Why?
You can open and close and do stuff. Like a mug, I'm not sure how.
But not without.
Probably tip over.
Not without.
Imagine a mug here. It's like, okay, I'm going to move. It tips itself over to roll.
But it stops. So you're saying it's intelligent?
It's fucked. No, so I'm saying it's unintelligent. So I think mug is a good inanimate object.
I'm winning.
To go with.
Where did that come from? Ask yourself that. Because you hear, all right, you mug. Where did that come from? Did it come from mugs?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, then mug's a really good answer, isn't it?
AD Tour, is there a topic that you have wanted to discuss on a podcast that you have not covered that you'd really like to do, and what would it be?
Such says American politics.
Well, I don't know if it's America's a whole different concept in itself. The world's greatest marketing machine. I think that I'm more interested in non-football related topics overall. I think we've discussed a little bit around mental health, but we've touched on it not fully in podcasts. I don't think we touched on it at the start of lockdown a little bit more, but we haven't when that was more a discussion around it. I think really looking at it from a psychology lens would be interesting, rather than just how do we feel, like actually what is going on in people's brains when you decode and unpick what is actually happening is interesting. Definitely politics, American politics particularly, but the impact it's having on society. Yeah, all sorts of stuff like that, I think I would definitely like to talk more about, but I'm not sure.
Obviously, my brain doesn't have the capability to function or think about anything other than football, so no.
Since I became... This is Luke's question from earlier, which kind of ties into the question about how of having a bad day or football affecting you. Since I've become a dad, and you both have kids, what's the favourite part of being a parent or a dad?
When they do something new. Is rewarding. If you tried to teach them something, they do it. It's rewarding. No, I've said before, like our little one struggles a lot for language and stuff. So when he does come up and say new stuff, and he's getting it and he's trying, then yeah, it is very rewarding. And when he's happy, right? There's nothing better than your kid being happy and stuff. So yeah, it's that the rewarding stuff is best.
I'm going to give a very deep answer to this.
When they're grounded and I'm out.
You will find that your kids will love you in the most pure way. Like, they don't give a shit about anything else other than just you as yourself, right? They don't care about your football team allegiance. They don't care about your job. They don't care about how much money you have. They don't care about your car. They don't care about anything. They just love you because of simply you. Like, there's really no other elements involved with it. What you look like, nothing at all. And I don't think there's any other relationships that people have, especially when you get older, that are as pure as that. So the most interesting thing for me right now,
how much longer have you got of that?
13, 12. Have a think about why do your kids love you? Like, what is it they like about you? Because that's you at your purest, and try and translate that into other areas. I think it gives you an insight into you. That's the most interesting thing about being a parent for me. It's like when they still run to, like, mine are 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 and 10 now, actually. I'm giving you a whole load of numbers there. They're 8 and nearly 10. Still run to the door when I get home. Like, well, why? Like, what is it that you're so excited about seeing me?
So you think Daddy might have something for him?
Nah, this is just, yo, what's up? And that's it. I think you will get an opportunity to have a relationship with someone that's based on nothing. There's no like, I'll get this out of this relationship with them. It's really interesting. So think about it from that point of view, and then think about how you can leverage that in other areas of life.
So to go back to the person who had the question about is Culinary named 20 footballers?
Yeah.
Is your relationship pure?
Yeah.
And if it's not, maybe you should still get a new one.
Well, if there's nothing else in that relationship and that's what you need, then yeah, you need to be able to have conversations about just anything, anytime. Luke has a second question. What will be defined as a successful season for Spurs next season? Top 4 and getting to round 6 of the Champions League? Round 16 of the Champions League? I think top 4
I don't think we can answer that for probably a couple of months yet.
Yeah, you need to see who comes through the door honesty. And how settled is Conte.
But I would say...
And what does everybody else do?
I would say right now that Tottenham not achieving again, with the anticipation of what we're going to do in the market, if we don't achieve what we've achieved this season, anything backwards would be a failure, right? Sometimes we finish 4th and you look at, we finished above teams who spend more on wages, etc. And you think it will be really tough to finish top 4 again. This is obviously going to be tough to finish top 4 again, but there's a serious expectation of this improving rather than going backwards, certainly in the immediate over the next 12 months. So, yeah, finishing 4th again would be minimum. The thing is, and Suj always says this, like, people define it by trophies and stuff like that. You've got fucking Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea. It's not easy to be winning any trophy. Like, there's no right to say, oh, Tottenham have got to win a trophy next year. Well, listen, if we've got Liverpool and Man City both standing in our way in both cup competitions, and say we get to the Final 4 and the two of them are still in there and we're going for the league with them, like, what's your expectation on a trophy, being serious?
Yeah.
There isn't, is there?
No. FF Thinker, if a dog wore trousers, would it wear them over just the back 2 legs or over all 4 legs? See illustration. I think the back 2 legs. Main purpose of trousers for me, James, is just cover my balls. That's all you need it for. And there's no balls in the front half of the dog. So that's fine. Go on Twitter at PlanFPL, find the tweet asking for questions, and then
who said that? It's quite
back
funny.
Legs, FF Thinker. FF Thinker.
Yeah, I'm going with Suj, back legs, yeah.
Yeah. Angus, after your chip clip, James, over Ben Crellin, if you could nutmeg one member of the community in the game, who would you choose? This is a bit of a hard one.
Oh, dear. I'm tempted to say someone from that North team, right?
Yeah, it's one member of the community.
One member of the community. Him.
Me.
As in you, yeah.
Because you feel like if I'm picking someone, I'm picking on them to say I'd like to nutmeg them because I don't like them.
A little bit. Which, considering Suj pays the check, was obviously a risk I took there.
Yeah. I'm going to... Who fancies themselves as a really good player?
Plonker.
Yeah, I'll not make Plonker.
What did Aaron? You're a star, mate. You're a superstar.
Adam, what was your favourite moment of the season that didn't involve your own team or any Arsenal losses, James? Because you're going to go to that. Or which player and manager surprised you the most this season? Can be good or bad.
Hang on, there's loads going on here.
Favourite moment of the season does include your own team.
Brandon Williams not killing Christian Eriksen was absolutely brilliant. When he went to kill him and he realised it was Eriksen and he stopped. Was so good. I feel like that's the first thing that's come into my head. I'm trying to think of feel-good stories, and there's shitloads, but my mind is having a blank at the moment. I'll tell you, I'll name one. When Sheriff beat Real Madrid. Was good.
Yep. They went on to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Can you believe?
Little team from Moldova went and beat the team that no longer, because obviously it was kind of Real Madrid's first game against a real minnow since trying to break into their own competition, because they don't want to play the likes of Sheriff Tiraspol anymore, and they went to the Bernabeu and went and beat them 2-1. I think that was a really cool story. And then the flip of it is obviously Madrid still went on and won the competition. What was the second part of the question?
Manager and player.
Who, what?
Surprised you?
I want to say Vieira for manager, but to be honest, my stance on it last summer was, like, everyone was writing him off quite a lot. My stance was, give it some time. He's definitely going to want to alter the style, but I think that could have gone either way. And we'd seen obviously Palace try and change before under Frank de Boer and gave up after 4 games. And there was some concern because Vieira was not Palace's first choice last summer, and Vieira knows that
danced
himself.
Around a few.
But it's worked out brilliant for both. So I think Patrick Vieira's got Crystal Palace in a really stable position, I think, for a first Premier League season. Based on the neutrals' expectation of him last summer, I think he's done really well. Player that's really surprised. I'm going to say, a bit of a bottle job this, but I'm going to say Luis Diaz. Just because so exceptionally quick in terms of knew there was a player there, but I think the expectation was this is a great signing. They'll use him a little bit for the rest of this season, and then he'll possibly take over from Mane next year. He was just in the team straight away. One of the best teams in the world walked in it, basically. So I think it was a surprise just how good he was. But I feel like it's a bottle job kind of answer, because I want to name a kind of unheralded player who suddenly really surprised in terms of how good he was. Maybe Livramento's a fair shout to keep it fantasy related in terms of just getting straight into the Southampton team and being really consistent. I think it's possibly a decent shout.
FPL Tractor, who else in the world of football and or FPL deserves a month off?
Harry Kane.
Deserves it.
Yeah, why not?
Because he only turned up for the second half of the season.
Exactly.
Whereas there are players that turned up for the entire season.
Imagine if he turned up for the first 3 months of the season.
You know what would happen, right? If Harry Kane had a month off, he'd come back after 6 weeks, wouldn't he?
Listen to this guy. The guy always...
FPL
the guy who normally returns too quick from injuries and stuff, yeah.
He didn't come back last summer too quick, though, did he?
Who deserves a month off? I wish
got his day wrong.
I wish Boris would take a fucking year or two off.
That's fucking true. FPL Guna, Clayton says, what are both of your favourite non-sporting memories in your lives?
Child. God, we might as well just call this pod Harry, I think.
Yeah.
Child by miles. To be honest, with me, I may look back on it and be quite regretful, but I think until my son came along, my whole life has just been completely linked to football. All the places I've been, everything feels like it's linked to Tottenham and stuff. So you'll have better stories of places you've been around the world and stuff. I went to Niagara Falls when I was a little kid, but it was better watching Tottenham in Prague, to be honest.
Whenever I've travelled, I've always felt I need to travel more and do this more. Twice I walked the width of England at its narrowest point, but still 192 miles in 7 days. Crosses the Lake District, the Yorkshire Dales, Yorkshire Moors, and all of that jazz. Robin Hood Bay, it's the St. Bees or whatever it is. And you can Google it. It's a known walk. You should do it in 14 days. We did it in 7, twice, to raise money for charity. The first time we got fucked on one of the second days where we were coming down the side of a mountain at about 10 o'clock at night because we'd had a guy got injured, so we got slowed down, so we didn't get back in time, and so we had to. It was too dark to walk down, so we had to get bussed round like the last 3 miles of this day. So we walked 192 miles, but missed 3 miles on day 2 because we couldn't for safety, and it was so annoying because we hadn't walked it. And then 2 years later, we did it again, but this time walked the whole width, and having a pint at the end after 7 days of probably 15 hours a day walking.
Do you remember what that pint was?
Unbelievable.
Remember what that pint was? He's going to say something crap like a Carling now.
No. It was an ale. I don't remember what it was, but that was immense. So, yeah, that was immense. So you see, every day is different. You're walking up like sides of hills, or walking down valleys, or near waterfalls, or snow tops, or mist and rain and sunshine. Like in the space of a week, I experienced absolutely everything. And you don't know what's coming around the corner. That was pretty immense. I think I probably need to do something like that again pretty soon.
Yeah,
I'm planning in the Cotswolds next weekend.
Are we both going to the Cotswolds this month?
Yeah. I'm going for 2 days. You're going for a week, right?
Yeah. Not together, we should add. Like, we're not going to Suj isn't leaving me there after 2 days and coming back. These questions never go well for me when you do these heroic acts. Like, I once walked from Colchester train station to their stadium. That was a long walk.
FPL Pilgrim, favourite food to eat inside the Spurs stadium? Chicken doesn't count because it's outside the stadium. Do you have any good food inside?
To be honest with you, I've not had a lot of it in the stadium.
I avoid food in the stadium as well.
Sausage rolls, okay. I had a sausage roll there actually for the first time after the game against Burnley. I've not had a huge amount of food in there because my principal idea with Tottenham is that it costs me enough to get in that ground anyway without giving them more money.
Neil, what's your favourite family thing to do with kids in the summer? Enjoy the well-earned break, lads.
Play football.
I like to get away. Like if I'm still in England, I'm still close to work, so I'd rather be away, and then just do nothing and chill. Like every day, wake up in the morning. My kids just they're comfortable. If we went to the beach, for example, they just entertain themselves for 3 hours. I don't have to worry about it. They're fine. Just dumb stuff like they'll run into the water and run out. Run into the water, run out.
I'd spend 3 hours trying to stop my son from killing himself.
You still got health and safety issues to deal with. So nothing like days that have no agenda. We just go somewhere and let them take their own path is fun. Like when you have, we're going to go here on a day trip and do this and do that. You feel like too much of on a timetable and too much to cram in and pack in and stuff. So it's my son's 10th birthday, 2nd of July, that Saturday. Need to make a plan for what to do with that because double digits is a big deal apparently. I think when you get to 10, kids feel like, double digits they've got to. I'm sure what I'm going to do for that. I wonder. Dan.
I've got no smart ideas for that. Cake, crisps, football, chips.
Dan, the FPL fan, and just for the record, his Twitter handle is DanFPL76.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Did he ever tell us about the time Bristol Rovers needed to score 7 to win promotion and they did it?
Never. Can't recall that.
Bobby Love, what are your favourite home and or away shirts your team have released?
Ever. Obviously.
Yeah.
Favourite home shirt would be, to be honest, the first one I had, 1991, the Hummel. Just quite simplistic. Away shirt, loved the Adidas did this navy blue away shirt for us in 2000, 2001 was absolutely brilliant. brilliant. It was like just the exact opposite of the home kit, but in away form. Absolutely brilliant.
We had a shirt just a few years ago, a Betway one. It was less. The sky blue was less subtle on the sleeves. I don't know what year it would have been. Marko Nautovic was with us. He wore that shirt, so it would have been 3 years ago or something like that. That home shirt I really liked. That was a really nice home shirt. And that same season, we had an away shirt that was like an ocean blue. That was a really nice shade of blue. And we also had a couple of years ago a black and gold. It was black with gold writing. That was a really nice away shirt.
You haven't left any out here, mate.
There were more recent ones actually. Like quite often you get nostalgic about old seasons shirts. Those were nice looking shirts. The problem with the old shirts, James, you might prefer them, is the baggy was the style then. And I'm not into baggy shirts. I prefer the
problem with the new
fit.
ones is, it's the opposite. And like you feel like you need a shower after having one on for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel your pain a little bit because they are
shit.
A bit tight in terms of the material. But this shirt that Marko Nautovic wore. Oh, why is it clicking on that picture? That shirt. I don't know what season that's from. James might know.
Shit one.
Gallery, West Ham. But that was my favourite. And I liked it subtle. And this is the blue. So what year? 2018, 2019. The home and away shirts from both those years are up there. And then the black and gold as well.
You own them shirts?
No. No. Forget giving them money. These money-grabbing guys. Right, last question of the show, James.
Got him.
Goes to FPL Llama. What's the one question you thought you'd be asked, but haven't? How would you have answered it?
How did we start the podcast?
Oh, yeah, we've got to answer it. No, it wasn't how did we meet?
How did we meet?
Yeah, that was the question. But what's the one question you've been asked, but haven't? What's the meaning of life?
Oh, don't start. You get to a certain age, I think you stop worrying about what the meaning of life is.
I think you get to a certain age and you start thinking about it.
You start thinking about it.
I think you get to a certain age where you start thinking about it.
I spent most of my teens and my 20s looking for a solution, then realised it didn't matter.
What's the question I thought I would be asked in a Q&A?
Why do you employ James?
I haven't been asked that.
Well, there you go. That'll come
I didn't
on the
think
next
I'd
one,
ever be asked that. I thought perhaps maybe no one put in what are you going to do differently for your FPL season next year.
It's good.
What did you learn that you would change in your FPL strategy?
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps I think people have switched off a little bit.
Were there a lot of FPL questions that you chose to ignore?
Nah.
That's good. Well done, listeners.
Nah. Did you put it in the title of the tweet?
No, I said you can ask anything you want.
Do you know what I didn't do? Look at the questions on the second tweet. You know, where you retweeted the original tweet and then...
And said, can you give some funny shit? Do we need to do something with the video, Suj?
I'm going to go and check on it
you
while
go and
I
check.
read these questions.
In your own time.
Last call. Let me just have a look here. I'm going to leave you with a question.
Go on, leave me with a
Ray,
question.
I shall now refer to you as Perlo. Do you accept? By the way, you're the first player I'll be writing a thread on. Ray write threads, a lot of threads.
Maybe he's going to do a game week 39 review based on the game tonight. Listen, I'll take the Perlo comparison. Little short, fat version. Obviously short of a little bit of hair and Italian suave and all that kind of thing. But I'll take it.
DM Kate a picture of Perlo, and she can just put it as a screensaver on her phone. And she's like, what are you worried about? You can keep calling yourself Pirlo. I've got a picture of Pirlo.
I don't think Perlo's her type of bloke, to be honest.
He's pretty handsome, though.
She'd be more like a Chiellini.
Chiellini. FPL Maldini.
To be honest, that's a lie, isn't it? Insigne. Another little short bloke.
Why did Pingu's mum always iron when none of them wore clothes? Fuck, that question is too good. Sometimes there are questions that blow your mind.
Yes, who asked that question?
FPL Maldini. That question
FPL
is
Maldini.
Too good.
Yeah, you've won the show, mate. Congratulations. I don't know what to say to that.
Pep talk. Favourite pizza toppings. I am trying to never eat pizza again.
Because?
Gluten. and cheese and fat.
Yeah.
I've struggled with pizza.
Wrecks me as well. Do you want it for lunch?
Nah, I can't do it. We got a tea party today. We got the Queen's Jubilee.
Oh yeah.
Tea party. We got sandwiches, scones, strawberries. Apparently there is Bakewell tart flavored popcorn.
Oh wow.
Being served at this tea party. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Lisa popped her head in there yesterday, bless her. Lisa, who works here in the office, she said, "You got to wear red, white, or blue tomorrow." And I said, "You just fucking eliminated 33% of the choices, didn't you?"
Yeah. And last but not least, okay, let's go into a couple more. FPL Douglas, what's your most embarrassing moment on a date?
On a date, the thing is, like, it's all changed, isn't it? And I don't even know how it's changed because I haven't had a date for over 10 years. But I just used to meet women in the pub, to tell you the truth. That was it. I can't think of many actual dates I've ever had.
It's not a date story, but I'd been dating a girl for about 3-4 months, and I decided it was not the one. And so I was going to break up with her. And why, for some reason, I thought I'd meet up with her, we'll go for lunch, and I'll just tell her. But also I drove, so I picked her up and dropped her back. So it was only when we were having conversation at lunch, and I was like, I'm not sure if this is the right thing. And she was obviously not actually very happy about it. It dawned on me that this is the shittest, dumbest idea, because I now have to finish eating, zero conversation, drop her home. She just left the car, and I was like, that was dumb. Like, why did I put myself in a situation where I then have to spend another half an hour or 45 minutes with someone? I thought it might, maybe, I don't know what was going through my mind. There was no thought in it. That was really stupid. There's so much easier ways of doing that than having lunch with someone where you're trying to break up with them. That was dumb. So that's a bad story. I suppose we were technically on a date.
There was the occasion when I was 19 and I was working in a boozer, and the two girls I was both dating at the same time happened to be standing next to each other and talking to each other at the bar, and figured out during the night that there was that.
James, tell everybody how we met, and we can wrap this up.
We met because I ended up working for Suj's packaging company. The first conversation Suj and I ever had was about the day job, and we spent most of my interview talking about football, and that's a true story.
Yeah. But you'd already been interviewed.
It's true.
I
knew when I got told meet the big boss, I was in then.
Yeah. I only meet people as a final round. Not always, but generally to decide whether or not I think they're a nice person or a dickhead.
And
you're here still, right?
I'm here.
Not dickhead, but do you know what I mean? I think, do I think people have the right energy and will they fit in is generally my last conversation. And often people don't, right? I've had people put in front of me that are capable of doing the job and are good enough, and people think, yeah, they'll probably be all right. And I'm like, I just don't like them.
You ain't got the vibe.
Just don't like them. And so that was why our conversation wasn't about.
How do you tell people in the interview then?
You
didn't get the job because actually your credentials and everything was fantastic.
I just don't think there'll be a cultural fit for the organisation.
I just didn't like you.
We don't think there'll be a cultural fit for the organisation. Because they won't enjoy it here either. If it's not the right place for them, they'll eventually, like moany bastards, for example, are better off going and working in a place full of other moany bastards. So I don't want them around here. So that's what happened. That's why our first conversation we had. James then spent how long selling paper bags? 2 years. I was going to
say my wife would never get a job here, would she?
I think. I don't know. How long did you do it for? 2 years?
No more. 3, I think.
3 years. Anybody listening that wants any advice on paper bags can DM James. Of all the things that people think they might not, that James wouldn't know, things you have dumb information about. Ask him about Pantone colours. Ask him about the difference between ribbed and unribbed paper. Ask him about the difference between gloss and matte lamination. Trust me, James knows about these things. It's been a couple of years and things might have faded out.
The brain can only store the football
He
stuff.
knows about things that you won't know about. Cotton and jute, what the difference between materials is. how artwork, about PDFs and outline PDFs.
Yeah, AI files,
that shit. Yeah, things you wouldn't think that I'm going to start a new Twitter account. Things that James Linden knows that you wouldn't think James Linden knows. There we go. So, back in the day, let's answer that question. Someone clip it out. Let's put it on YouTube as an evergreen piece of content.
And then a year into the company, I won the work Fantasy Football Premier League Mini League, and Suj said, "Do you want to do a podcast?" And I said, "Okay."
And
that's it.
That work mini league, there's probably only 5 of us playing with it. The people at work don't care. But actually, to be honest, recently in the last 6 months, we've had quite a few more come in that care about football.
Yeah.
But want to play it, start a five-a-side after work as well. Which actually, I think if we can get 10 people playing once a week, that would be amazing.
Well, South want to go on tour now.
You just start a professional team. I think if we can get I think it'd be a really good thing to have at work. We've never had enough people. Obviously, the company's not like thousands of people, but I think we could get to 10 people pretty soon that would play, and I think that would be wicked. And maybe even a more competitive, bigger fantasy Premier League as well.
Breaking it down now. We're not doing like North versus South. We're going to do like
sales and marketing versus
Planet
finance.
Planet FPL and the carrier bag shop versus who got the assist? Fantasy Football Scout, whatever.
Okay, fair play.
Fantasy Football Fix. We'd get beat by everyone, I reckon.
Indeed. Listeners, thank you.
Not Indeed. Have you not seen my obscene skill?
Indeed.co.uk.
Indeed. We playing them as well.
I don't know what you were talking about, Indeed.
You said Indeed, as in I said we'd get beat by everyone. You said Indeed.
Sorry, no. Listeners, this is it. This is the end of another season of chatting about football. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. And I hope we have been entertaining and some sort of comedy value, if nothing else. We will resume content on July the 6th, which is a Monday. By that time, 4th. Is it Monday the 4th? It is Monday the 4th. You are right, because the 2nd is a Saturday. By that time, it is highly likely that the game will have been opened. The prices will have been released. We'll have some sort of idea what they're doing with the World Cup. And so we'll be coming to it post initial noise and wave of all these price releases. If I wish there was a way of setting an out of office on Twitter.
Yeah, it's going to be a pin tweet on Twitter.
But yeah, you won't hear or see much. If you do want to sign up to Patreon, do it at the basic tier for June, and you'll get sent we can send people, if they sign up, the Slack access at least. So you can join in the community on Slack. Honestly, it's a great place to chat and interact with people during this off season if you want to as well. But yeah, just leaves me to say, look after yourselves, enjoy the summer.
Don't go yet.
Oh.
Don't go yet.
What else we got?
I don't care if the game launches on June the 14th, June the 20th, June the 26th. I ain't doing shit till July the 4th. Don't even tag me about where's your emergency pod. This time we're taking a proper break.
This is the most pointless public service announcement, because people listen to it and they will still tag you.
I know. Tell me about it.
Go to settings.
I want to give thanks to everybody who's liked, shared, retweeted, subscribed, anything to us this year. Thank you so much. A special thanks to obviously all our patrons. I love you especially. Big thanks to all the correspondents. Huge work and contributions this year. And I want everybody to chill and have a great June, and we'll be back in July.
Yeah, man. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.